Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my co-host.
Holy Presenza, otherwise known as the Moo Cow Moo, and I've got my squeaky chicken.
Yes, you do. And next we have our special guest for the evening. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shannon Atkins.
Hey Shannon, how are
Hey,
you doing?
back
Good.
for
How
more
are
punishment.
you?
Would you say, Paul?
I said back for more punishment.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think this was worse than the last one we gave you, at least.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get it out. First of all, I have to introduce the movie. It is
Blame Moody. I always give nice movies out.
Thought this
excuse
was your
me.
pick.
No,
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 no.
no, this is
Ah,
mine. I had to switch it up. I think I even told you that. I had to switch it up, so it's my pick. But anyways, it's Stupid Teenagers Must Die,
Stupid
which
teenagers.
yeah, which they were pretty stupid. But I picked this because I remember in 2007 maybe or 8 or whatever, I interviewed the director of this movie, so I watched it back then, and we'll talk about how different it was from what I remembered it being like. So, but before then, we'll come
That's.
back after we what?
I was just gonna say that's always weird to me. I mean, it's like, I remember hitting myself on the head with a hammer and I didn't like it, and now I do it 10 years later. Suddenly, I
I
like it. I mean,
no,
things
I
don't
did
change
like
that
it.
much.
I did like it. And then now I hit my head in the hammer and I'm like, ow, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, everybody. We'll be right back after we hear some
Mood
music.
music.
And we are back. And yes, oh man, that was so we individually watched this movie. And first I've got to get Shannon because you've never seen this movie before, right?
never heard of it until you said something.
Most, I'm sure, like most people haven't. It's not really a common movie. It's not even on Tubi, but it is on Fossum and Plex. So I was
Awesome's a
like,
horrible app, by the way.
we'll get into that too.
And if it was on Tubi, you couldn't tell because you couldn't see it or hear it.
That's true. All right. Shannon, what was your first initial reaction to this movie?
Um, well, the first thing I noticed right off the bat was how grainy it was. The cinematography was not up to par, so to speak. Um, and let's see. I don't know why they tried to make it seem like it was set in the 80s. I saw nothing 80s in this film.
And nobody talked like they were in the 80s. No,
No, and the
I
one guy was dressed like MC Hammer. I'm pretty sure that's 90s.
I didn't even
So,
know
yeah.
that this was supposed to be set in the 80s.
Oh, that was in the beginning of the movie. It said sometime in the 80s. You didn't catch that part in the beginning?
Either I
Okay.
didn't see it or didn't hear it.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, it was like written on sometime in the 80s or whatever. So I knew it was supposed to, I thought only the beginning was going to start in the 80s. But I guess the whole movie was supposed to be the 80s, but didn't really feel like that at all. So what else you got?
I didn't care that any of these characters died. There
You
was
want
no there was no forming relationships or anything like that. There was nothing to make me like these characters whatsoever.
exactly.
Which
Um,
is the trope it's trying to, make fun of and satirize. The problem is you can do that without becoming the subject that you're satirizing. And that's where the movie goes off the track. Don't care for these kinds of movies, so the fact that it's trying to satirize it and sort of parody it is not a bad concept to me. It's just you need to differentiate yourself from the material that you're satirizing, and the movie does not do that. In fact, it just kind of goes with it with spades, and that just irritates me even more.
Yeah.
so I always remember this as a horror comedy, right? And I think it's just because of the title, right? But this is not
Great
a
title.
horror. It should be the title of a horror comedy. It should be Evil Dead meets Scream, basically. But it fails to do both of those things because it's not funny enough. Like it needs to be the sort of wink wink nod nod, nudge nudge kind of thing, but it doesn't do any of that. All it does is the whole time just becomes like Paul says, it just becomes the thing it's supposed to be making fun of. And by then it gets kind of annoying, because then I'm watching a movie that I and I don't know, maybe in the beginning when I first was interviewing the director, that's what I did back in 2007 or 8 or whatever, and I was like so excited to chat with him that maybe I didn't care that the movie wasn't great, maybe my taste have changed since then, and I liked this movie. But I remember liking the movie and being really nice to the director about it, thinking it was like supposed to be a rip on Surf Nazis Must Die. You said it had nothing to do with that. Like they just came up with the title Stupid Teenagers Must Die, which Shannon, you said you found some information about that
Yeah,
title,
so the original title was Horny Teenagers Must Die.
which is a title that's out there right now. There is another title called Horny Teenagers Must Die. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I saw that. It was something like "Horny Debutantes Must Die." There's
No, it's
another
called
one.
Horny Teenagers Must Die.
Right, right. But there's another one too. There's something about a debutantes one that popped up on my feed today, as a matter of fact. I haven't seen any of those things because you know me, I tend to avoid movies with teenagers written for teenagers and dealing with entirely teenagers. I'm not a teenager, so why should I be interested in that?
I mean, I don't know. I still love Scream and the Scream series, but I was a teenager when I first saw Scream, so
Yeah,
that I think is
exactly. But
and
I agree with Paul. Like I don't I don't tend to go and watch the new horror films that are surrounded around teenagers.
well, funny enough, like not many of them are, a lot of
Yeah,
them,
there's that.
a lot of them now are centered around a more like college kids or adults, probably because they look like college kids or adults when they play the teenagers, that they're just like, let's just make them college age or adults
That's
now.
typical. Is every time they get someone, they never actually get teenagers. It's always somebody's mid-20s or even later.
Yeah, like in Scream, the people were definitely like in their 20s, like old, like late 20s or something,
Well, nobody in this film was a teenager.
Mm, no.
Which
And
was good considering the nudity.
Yeah.
yep. Otherwise, that would be very awkward, and I would not be probably showing this movie, or anyone would be showing this movie. But yeah, there was. I mean, how old were they supposed to be? Like, no, they never said their ages or that. Like, oh, I gotta be in class or I have to go to school on.
Well,
I
in
go
the
to.
opening, Mike mentions that he's like, "Oh, I forget you're still in high school."
Yep. And he's off to college.
Yeah,
That's right.
he's the oldest one of the bunch.
Uh-huh. And that's right. And then, yeah, and he's the one who dies in the beginning, right? He's the first one
Hmm.
to die. So,
By someone. Who exactly? Given the after the movie goes on and we find out about everyone, spoiler alert, getting possessed. So who was it that killed that dude?
good question. And I'm like thinking about it because I,
It's
I,
it's a false flag planted by the movie people to make you think it's going to be something else, and it's not, and that's unfair. I call shenanigans.
there's a lot of shenanigans because even in the beginning of the movie, they have the girl die, the one blonde lesbian or whatever, the one lesbian, and then she, is alive, and it's all a big prank, which I was like, why? Like, what was the point of this prank? You know?
That's for us. It's not the prank isn't for them. The prank is for us.
Uh-huh. I feel like they tried to do a really bad version of Night of the Demons.
Hmm.
Probably. I don't know. When I was interviewed, because I listened to like a few minutes of my interview with the director. Again, we have it, like we have that. And I think some of the cast joins us because it's like a 2 hour long, interview thing. And I think some of the cast actually came and cast and crew came and joined for Stupid Teenagers Must Die to talk about it. I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to listen to this for 2 hours. I was a terrible interviewer back then, and like, I just, I just know my head just would explode to like listening to this and the stuff that I ask and everything. I'm like, oh God, I would always love to redo all these interviews and stuff now because I'd ask much better questions and everything. But it was the beginning of my, podcasting. So, of course, there's
Everyone's got to start somewhere.
everyone's
Yep.
gonna start somewhere. So I'm okay with that. I'm just like, I listen to it going, oh, this is
Speaking of
horrible.
which, did the movie folks, did these guys go on to do other things?
So there you go. I'll give you some a little bit of background on this. So Stupid Teenagers Must Die was the first film. Obviously, I would hope it's the first one. Done by these guys. And it's Jeff C. Smith directed the film and co-wrote it. And Jeff C. Smith after this had made a movie in 2011 called Machete Betty, and I'm hoping that's a lot better that he wrote on himself. And then he wrote or directed a short film called Paranoid. Um, then he did one called or he did a documentary called Who Done It? The Clue documentary. So it's a documentary
Oh,
with Tim Curry and all the people
interesting.
from Clue. Um, and then the last thing he's done is another documentary called The Great All-Nighter, which is the making of Midnight Madness, which I guess is a movie. Um, so he's been doing that right now. So that's what he's mainly doing. But I guess Machete Betty was his other one that he did. And he also I guess wrote and directed a I don't know if it's a series or the series, no, a short film called Chase Romano Loves You Too, and it's a short film, horror film that he did. So those are the newest things that Jeff C. Smith did. And a bunch of the people from this came back to be in Machete Betty, including I know our boy I thought Siobhan was in it. Um Yeah,
Oh, that's
Javon Meredith, who
that's
is
the Ash wannabe.
that yeah, the guy that and he said it in the interview that when they came up with this idea, they wanted him to be the new Ash, and stuff. That was their plan, was to make something where that guy, Javon, was gonna be the new Ash. I actually didn't mind him as an actor. I thought he out of all the males there, he was the one I was rooting for the most because I just kind of felt bad that but it became like a thing like okay you're making him the token black guy that's there and then you're kind of making it look like almost like these terrible white people are doing this stuff you know what I mean to you like
Yeah, I
and
didn't think he was a bad actor. I just think he wasn't
No,
really
he
given enough information or enough of a character. The thing about Ash is that he's kind of an anti-hero and he's charming in spite of all his flaws. We don't get anything like that with Ash,
mm-mm.
you know.
yeah yeah were you gonna say something, Shannon?
I don't know. The whole movie, I just don't know exactly what they were going for. And when you said that they wanted him to be like the next Ash, and that's what I told you, I was like, well, that was really high expectations. But this whole movie doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. It starts off with the haunted house and the Ouija board, and then we end up with zombies.
Yeah, which
As you
yeah.
do.
So I think maybe that was the problem. It tried to do 3 or 4 different, yeah, it was like 4 different supernatural things, like or whatever, or horror things. So like we've got the slasher route, we've got the demon route, we've got the ghost route, and we got zombies. So like usually you got to pick one, you
And
know.
say goodbye to the board when you finish, or else the ghost won't. Wait, what? I've never heard that before.
I never heard that before, but I thought that was cool. I actually didn't mind that part.
That's true with a Ouija board. If you play with a Ouija board, you're supposed to always say goodbye.
Or the spirit's still there?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was funny because they were like, "Oh, we were doing it, and then we heard a noise, and then we left. We stopped playing it. You stopped playing it." And then they were like, "You didn't say goodbye." Like he made a big deal with that, and I was like, "Oh God!" And it was because okay, so you guys ever seen a movie back in the day called "There's Nothing Out There"? I think that's what it's called.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I
And
haven't
so
seen it.
Rolf Konevsky directed that
Mm.
movie, and we got to interview him a little while ago about it. But he was the first person to have those kind of geeky characters that like are big on horror. I think they're the first because I don't know if
Oh, you
Summer
mean the
School
horror
came
geeks?
first. Yeah, the horror geeks that come in and they try to um no, Summer School might have beat that to them because I think Summer School had those geeky characters. But a lot of people say that Kevin Williamson ripped off Ralph Konevsky's movie, There's Nothing Out There with Scream because the time that he was coming up with Scream was the time that that movie was on USA all the time. And supposedly Kevin Williamson was watching a lot of these late night movies and stuff when he was house sitting, and he did come up with a character that's very much the Randy character was sort of in that movie. And then this movie does that too, has the
With
kind
two
of
of
the
them.
two there's two of them and they're both geeky horror movie loving kids.
And there's the third nerd. There's the nerd who was with the group before those two came in. And that was where I really kind of got annoyed because, I think I mentioned before where most of the characters are just very flat and are sort of the typical tropes that you see in these films to its detriment, unfortunately. At one point, though, there looked like there was going to be development, and it was at right around the time after they think the first girl's dead, and Tiffany, who was my favorite character in the group, who looks like she's going to be your typical bitch, ice queen, blonde, jerky chick, is concerned and upset, and she has to go upstairs, use the bathroom, and then she asks somebody to go with her, and of course, nerdy guy volunteers. And then they have this nice little conversation where they actually talk a little bit about their situations. And he's like, a lot of people make fun of me and they hit me on the head and they kind of say shit about me and all. And it doesn't really bother me. But when it comes from you, it's a lot worse, which is like a real sort of declaration. And she is like, wow, I never really thought about that before, and sort of apologizes and feels bad about it. And I'm like, wow, these characters just grew right in front of me.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, she's like, goes to the bathroom and he starts ogling her again and starts doing stupid shit. So
You're peeping
there
on
went
her,
his
peeping on
growth.
her through the hole, pull
Yeah,
people.
there goes his growth. And
Yeah.
then the other thing was, of course, she gets killed. So it's like the one character who showed some growth gets killed. And I was like, oh man,
Okay.
that bugged me.
So first of all, this has a lot of the tropes you hate. First of all, it's cute girls getting murdered, which you never like. And then the second thing that you hate in these kind of things is the shower scene, which they have a deliberate shower scene, which they never show the shower scene, but she's supposed to be going to the shower, but then she goes to the Shannon, have you ever just washed yourself in a sink? Like,
I
I
have
mean,
so many problems with this. I hate it. Even when I was watching it, I was like, and he starts mentioning, oh, we have the bathroom with even a working shower. As soon as he said it, I was like, okay. So you
This
made it a point that somebody at some point is going to go get in a shower. People are dying. You're in a haunted house, but let's take a shower. I don't
And why
understand.
is there even water running? If this is an abandoned house, who's paying for the water
I,
bill?
I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I literally sat here and I was like, okay, well, make this make sense because it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, that's not what would be on my mind to do. Like,
who's paying for the electricity?
Well,
You
I
know?
guess it comes out later that there's a generator because they're like, oh, someone go off and turn on the generator. Well, I'm like, okay, yes, but who set that up? Most teenagers don't know how to wire a generator to a
mm,
house's electrical system. Do you? I certainly don't.
It could have been the guy that dies in the beginning because he was more the older guy that knew everything and kind of was helping set up. So he could have been the guy who did it. But then he would have had to teach one of the other kids to go use it or
A
whatever, you
lot,
know.
just one line in there that just said, "Okay, I got this generator set up for you guys, so you should have electricity for your prank thing." That's all it needed.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I mean, to be honest, they didn't, I don't think they really, you know, how you always say, Paul, like this feels like a first draft and everything. I
Yeah,
think that's what it was
definitely.
with this movie because from what I remember hearing from the director was that they wanted to do a slasher and they had this idea and then they had this title and they came up with the title after a while and they said, you know, stupid teenagers must die. And they thought that was hilarious. And then they were like, you know, I forgot there was I should have like wrote down the things that the guy was saying because there was a couple things he did like I think there was a even Blood and Guts was another title they were going to go with originally for it before I guess before it became
Yeah,
Horny
that's not a good
Teenagers
title.
Must Die. And they were
Stupid
going to go with
Teenagers Must Die is a good title.
yeah, and they were gonna go with Blood and Guts. So that was the original title, and they were gonna do that. And then they were it was with this other guy that he was talking to that he thought would have fun with this. And then that guy couldn't make it while they were about to do it. And they were like, we got to get this done. Let's go get this done. And so I do love the like DIY, do it yourself, go out there and go make a movie attitude. Problem is like when you don't take time to develop characters, you don't take time to like work on the script, you get sloppy stuff happening in the movie
And
because
then
that's, you know,
you add in not good lighting, not good sound. There are times when I really couldn't understand or
I
hear
had
what
to like
was
turn
going
it
on.
up a bunch. I don't know if you
So
guys
did
had to.
yeah, so did I, especially if they had any kind of like background music because the music was louder than the voices of
Louder than the
the
dialogue.
actors.
And that got really annoying because like there would be a time where I turn it up and then somebody would talk really loud and I'm like, I gotta turn it down. And
Hmm.
it just got frustrating. And I was like, I don't know if that's Fossum, like or like, you know, sometimes and I'll give this the credit because I bet the DVD, which I have, I own the DVD for the movie. I've had it, I believe, since 2006. You know, I've had it for that long or wherever it's 2007, whenever I did the interview with the guy. I bought it, you know, and I mean, it got a regular release. This was back in the day when like movies would get real good releases. They weren't like, you know, treated badly. Like, you know, but, you know, and on top of that, the director did say to me in in the interview that they wanted to make it look like a shitty movie. That was the point, you know. So they wanted it to have grainy things and all this stuff. That was their plan. However, when that happens, then you get a shitty movie. You know, right? Like if you wanted it a shitty movie, you got a shitty movie. I don't know
Right.
why you'd want to
Oh
do that.
yeah.
That
You know?
doesn't add to the enjoyment. It takes away from it.
Yeah.
Because you can't see it. There were so many scenes that I couldn't see. Like,
Hmm.
and then I couldn't believe that, like, the scene with them in the car, literally the only lighting they used was the dome light inside the car.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, so
couldn't
they
see
this
anything.
definitely feels like a first film. I kind of wish somebody had been around to sort of give these guys some better advice in some of the things that they did because there are some things about the film that I like. Some of the acting I thought was pretty darn good considering. Um, but yeah, this definitely feels like folks who have not done this before. Um, Although I have to say, the one thing I did find pretty well done was I thought the editing was pretty good. So whoever edited for them, they must have had some experience. That I thought was well done.
I hope so. I don't know who did the editing. I'm gonna look that up because um the guy who did the camera work was the director,
Hmm.
so it goes
I'm
to
not
show.
surprised there.
And the editor was the director.
Same guy. Well, he did a
Yep.
better job editing it, which makes sense because generally, if you're the writer and the director, you're going to edit it because you know how the story is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Those are the three times a movie is made, when you write it, when you direct it, and then when you edit it. And if you're the same
Well,
guy, you know exactly how it's going to look.
now I mean, as speaking from a writer director, I hate editing. That's like my least favorite thing to do. So that's why I usually get the camera guy or whatever to edit, which is Chris Roll is generally the one I get to edit my stuff. But a lot of times Chris Roll will come to me and we'll go over, you know,
Hmm.
stuff. And then if I don't like something, I'll be like, do we have another take of that or something like that, you know? But he'll usually go over and do that. So I don't know how they do it here. You know, this was like when I was interviewing him, this was before I even started making films, you know. So I use my interviewing stuff to get information from the filmmakers to try to learn how they did it so that maybe one day I was going to learn how to make it and do everything. So
I wonder if he got into this as an editor first. I wonder if he's done other editing work for somebody else because that just felt better than anything else that he did as far as this film goes. Um, but yeah, that came across as well done. Some of the shot selections I thought were pretty good as well. Um, Sometimes the music was good, sometimes it was just too loud. You know what I mean?
this
Um,
was, I mean, it's not listed as anything else. Like the only ones that are listed as him directing it is Stupid Teenagers Must Die and the making of Stupid Teenagers Must Die plus
mhm.
Paranoid. And I mean, he didn't even edit that Machete Betty movie. I don't even know if that's available anywhere. Because I don't know if it ever got out, you know.
Yeah,
It
maybe he's just a better editor than a director or a writer. I mean, that happens.
maybe I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen anything else
It's
other than him by this.
it's another way of telling the story, like I said. So,
But also, once again, this is a first time film, so a lot of times first time films are not that great,
mhm.
you know, and you learn from that
Yeah,
film.
because you don't know how
Yeah.
good you're going to be.
Well, also, yeah, especially if you've never been on like a set before, you've never, you know what I mean, worked on anything, you might be like, how does this all come together? And eventually, when it does come together, it comes out and you've learned your lesson
Mhm.
on how to make
Right.
something.
Which is why, even though I didn't care for the movie or a lot of the movie, I'm not going to hate on the film because it's a first try and it clearly comes off as a first try. And this is where you learn how to make your skill or how to get your skills. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah, I like to
We've
think
seen worse
maybe
movies. I mean,
if this guy ever puts out a Blu-ray, you like to think that they might go back and post and clean up some of the stuff.
maybe,
Because you can.
maybe. But we've seen worse films. We've seen films where this, you know, people are just walking and talking and have nothing to do with the rest of the movie, you know, and stuff like that. Boring, you know, stuff. The movie at least wasn't boring to me, you know, throughout the whole thing. The only thing, and I know Shannon will probably agree with me, and I'm probably you, Paul, too, but Fossum drove me nuts because it was commercials like every 10 minutes was 8 commercials. And I was like,
Yes.
oh my God.
Yeah,
And it was the same commercial.
you mentioned that, so I kind of downloaded it from my sketchy Russian porn site,
Okay.
and I watched it without commercials since you mentioned all that. So,
Oh, damn, I shouldn't have mentioned anything, so you'd have to suffer too.
It was terrible.
It was awful. But you know, I didn't realize like how many commercials they have in Fossum. Like at least two and the worst part is they do it in the most random times. Because it'll be like every 10 minutes
Yep.
exactly. And so they might be like in mid-sentence saying something, and then it goes, whoop, here's a hospital
yeah,
commercial
that's the
or
lazy
something.
dad way of doing things.
Yeah, with when Tubi does it, it actually schedules it for times where like it's going to the next scene or
Yeah.
something, you know, and it knows like when you're, you know, and so I like Tubi a lot better about that. Like, Fossum, get your shit together, man, especially if
Yeah,
people are gonna
it was
watch your stuff.
one of the worst apps I think I've ever watched something on.
So
Yeah.
Fossum wasn't awesome, huh?
No.
No, and I think that is that what is Fossum supposed to be like? Fantastic and awesome
I
together,
mean,
Fossum.
I'd never
Three
heard of it.
awesome movies.
I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it. So,
I think, well, I know a lot of people have their movies on Fossum, you know, so it is a really great indie, you know, film library thing. Like, A lot of my friends, like the Polonia, Mark Polonia and his group, have movies that are just directly to Fossum and not to Tubi, So that's great, but the problem is I don't want to watch it.
Mm.
So like now that I've seen this, I'm not going to pick another movie that's just Fossum. So uh
Yes,
film
thank you.
filmmakers,
Um,
please
the other thing I wanted to mention is I thought there were too many characters. I kind of
mm,
lost track of them, and that's part of the reason why I think
I
um,
agree.
they came off as very flat and one-dimensional. For example, the chick, and I forget her name, the one who was going to do the séance.
yeah.
She seemed like she might have been more interesting. I would like to have gotten more background on her or more motivation on her. She seemed like she might have been, why was she so into this whole, seance
Hmm.
thing? Is she one of those geeky people too? And if so, how come she's in the cool group but not the other two? I feel like there's some kind of backstory going on with that we're not getting.
Yeah, what was her name? So,
And, she was cute. She did her role well. I would like to have seen more of her.
yeah, I like that. I
But our
like that.
problem, there was no backstories for anybody.
No.
We
Um,
got that glimmering when those two had that
Yep.
conversation, but other than that, you're right. There's really not much going on.
Mm-mm.
so let me go through the actors though. Okay, so Javon Meredith was the guy that played the lead. He
And
was
that's his
Kane.
friend, right?
He was Kane. That's the main guy. He's the lead,
He's the director's friend, right?
yeah, he's the director's friend.
Mm.
That's who they like. They originally thought that we got to cast this guy and have him in the movie. I mean, most of the people I think are friends. I don't think they
Mhm.
auditioned anybody. They just said, "Hey, do you want to be in this movie?" And they just kind of wrote around that. But the only things he's done really are the uh, Stupid Teenagers Must Die and Machete Betty. But he also did a 25-minute movie in like a year before Stupid Teenagers Must Die called The Seventh Commandment. I don't
Mm.
know. But anyway, then Ashley Schneider was Julie. She was Kane's girlfriend, and she's been in some stuff. So after this, she didn't let this be the only movie that she was in. Before this, she was in Honeymoon with Mom. Never heard of it, but it's got, Shelley Long and, a bunch of random people. And then House Bunny, she was in the movie The House Bunny. I don't know if you guys ever seen that
With Anna
I
Faris?
with Anna Faris, yeah.
I wouldn't go near it, but at least I heard of it before.
She was just an extra in that. She was a girl at Pan Hellenic or whatever.
Pretty girl
Um,
being paid to be a pretty girl.
yeah. And then she was in Adam Gersh's movie Autopsy, which was really good. I've seen that. And Adam and Jace did a wonderful job with that movie. She was also played a character named Betty in a movie called Extreme Movie. Um that's kind of like how they did Scary Movie and Date
Hmm.
Movie and all these
Where
other
where was this movie made? Where are these guys located?
um I'm not sure. I think California.
Oh,
Um
okay.
I'm I'm not quite sure. Um, wow. They she has not updated her IMDb page because it was like as the lead in the upcoming horror film Stupid Teenagers Must Die, and and in her edgy role in the series South of Nowhere, so she's been whatever. Anyway, Alfie, that's the nerdy guy that you said, all this stuff. He's played by Devin Marble. Um, he's been in a couple things. He's been a producer mainly lately. Um, so
He was
a,
decent.
he was producing a bunch of interestingly enough, it was a segment producer on Project Runway. So
Huh.
we did a bunch of those like I guess reality stuff, got into that.
Man,
Um
random people who end up
Yeah.
with that project.
Project Runway. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never watched it, but like I mean I've seen clips or whatever, but I never that was not my thing. Um Tiffany was played by Lindsay Gareth. Lindsay was also in, oh God, she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in Bottoms Up that starred Jason Mewes. That's gonna be on Indie Film Cafe at some point.
Ah, that's cool.
It's got like Paris Hilton and Jason Mewes, so that's such a random grouping of people, but it's one I can't wait to talk about someday because I liked it. The Comebacks, which I've heard of, a comedy that spoofs inspirational sports movies. She was in that. She was in not a God, she's in all these spoof movies, you know? She was in Not Another B Movie, you
Hmm.
know. I know that I don't own that one yet. I'm kind of bummed out to have that. And her last credit was in 2014 in another spoof, an adept spoof of cinema's behind the scenes experiences. Oh, also done by the same guy who did not another teen movie that's called Hacks. So she's been in a few things.
Probably gotten married and have kids and is out of the business.
Yeah, that would be the better thing. So was the girl that we were thinking of, was her character named Madeline?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's the Seance girl.
Yeah, so her name's Renee Dorian, and she's been in a few things. She was God, she's got a pretty good, even better career. All these girls are off doing good stuff after this. She was in a movie called Vicious Circle, that's on Tubi. Let's see, she was in iCarly, she was in 90210, the reboot. She
There
was
was a
in,
reboot.
yeah, she was in the Funhouse Massacre, which I've done for 31 Days of Indie Horror, and Pups Alone, like Home Alone with puppies, I guess. That sounds fun and silly. Starring Jerry O'Connell. Good God, sorry. For his career. But anyway, she was in a few things like that. Oh, and the geeks are only known as Geek 1 and Geek 2, by the way. They didn't
Huh.
even get
That's annoying.
names. But like if you think about it, nobody ever said their names, did they?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. So like Geek 1 and Geek 2.
I actually liked them.
I did too. They brought like comedy to it a little
They
bit.
remind me of the guys from Insidious.
Yes. Yes. They should have, well, yeah. So this was before Insidious.
Uh-huh.
But then, yeah, I could see them totally, if they were doing this now, they'd be like looking like those guys or something
Yep.
like that, you know? I totally agree with you. So that's Corey. Oh God.
I
Corey
don't
is
know. They
Sink.
they kind of annoyed me, especially after people were dying for real and they're still doing their shtick. I'm like,
Yeah, they're still joking around and stuff like with a
that,
fake
yeah.
knife and things like that. I'm
It's
just
one
like,
of the things that just, bugs me about those kinds of movies in general. That's just not what's going to happen. Same thing with them never getting outside. That's the first thing that would have happened normally. I can tell you, being in many a teenage party where shit happens, nobody sits around and says, we better
Nope.
get our story together to the cops. No, everybody scatters and says, I was never there. That's what teenagers do,
mm-hmm. So,
even
all
dumb
right.
ones.
All right, so let's go to real quick. The what was the so which one was Ryan? Which character was Ryan? Um, wait, hold on. Ryan, I think Ryan was the geeky guy that we
And
like.
yeah, the one that like the girl Tiffany.
Yeah. So Ryan was that guy. That was the one. I thought for some reason that was Alfie. I think Alfie was the jackass guy.
Yes.
Looked
Oh, the
like he
leather
belonged
coat.
to a 50s
Yeah.
movie or something because he had a
Yeah, he
leather
doesn't
coat
look
on.
like he's from the 80s.
He looks like he's from the 50s, which would have been cool if it were a movie where like some supernatural force put a bunch of people from different decades together to fight them, or whatever.
Hmm.
So you had somebody from the 50s, a hippie from the 60s, somebody from the
Yeah, I
70s,
get
80s.
that he
I
was
like that.
supposed to be like the sort of jerky bully kind of guy, but he was too small. He just didn't come off as threatening at all.
Well, he's turning more to the nerdy guy who was smaller than him. So that was the only thing. But like he couldn't threaten the big Ash guy, like you can threaten that guy at all. Like That dude was not going to be threatened by any one of them. Um, so let's see. So yeah, so the other guy, Ryan, because I kept thinking they were calling him Brian, and they kept saying his name.
It
And I was
was
like,
really hard to make out a lot of it.
Yeah, it
But
yeah,
was.
the other thing I wished is I did wish that it had been on Tubi because I get the feeling that on Tubi, a lot of times you can put on the subtitles and that way you can pick up a lot of stuff like this, you know?
yeah. Um, Christina DeRosa. Oh yeah, there was no subtitles on that thing, so it's kind of annoying. Christina DeRosa did do very well too. She was the lesbian who lived in the beginning that didn't wasn't the one who got murdered or whatever. None of the characters had real names. Like I didn't if they had a name,
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know.
The two lesbians who are always going,
So
Yeah.
I
But
Yeah,
really was hoping that that girl was dead and that the other one was next. Like, I don't understand their characters whatsoever.
that's
yeah.
like what a 15-year-old boy thinks lesbians are like.
Well,
They're just
interesting
normal people like everybody else, guys. I hate to burst your
interestingly
bubble.
enough, she's been in a few movies by Jim Wynorski. Because she gets
That I'm
naked.
not
That
surprised.
and Jim Wynorski does movies where girls get naked all the time, including one with our
Nice
girl.
job if you can get it.
Also, I believe Lauren Parkinson is well.
What?
I know she was in Piranaconda that
Uh-huh.
Jim Wynorski did. I don't know. Was that the one that she was? Was that the one that Lauren was in too? No, I don't think so. There's one that sounded like that. Cobra Conda or something.
Cobra Conda, yeah,
Cobra
something like
Gator or
that.
something.
Cobra Gator.
Yeah.
I've
There's
kind of lost track of all her films, which is good. I'm glad to see her working.
yeah. And
She came
then
on the show with us and she was marvelous.
yeah, she's a sweetheart. We love her. But this girl, Christina DeRosa, was also in Gila, which was also done by Jim Wynorski. Um, she
And
he's
this was the blonde, or is this the curly brunette?
This is the curly brunette. And
Okay.
then and she was also in Christmas Twister, which we are gonna do one day for like a Christmas thing. And it's so awful. It's worse than that Ice Twisters movie we watched.
Oh, Christmas
Yeah.
Twister?
Yeah. Christmas Twister. Like that's what it's called. It's awful. It is mocked by everybody. It's so bad.
Nice.
And so she was in that. She was in Entourage, I believe. Um, she was as a party flasher. So once again, I mean, just showing off what she got, you know, what they what God gave her. And that was I mean, she's been in a few other stuff. I mean, she's been in a
Or
lot.
a surgeon.
Yeah. Um, she's in a movie called Atomic Apocalypse. I don't know. Anyway, point is, she's been doing everybody there. The cast has been doing well since this movie, it seems. Like these actors have seemed to move on to actually continue to do work. That's
Well,
why I
that's
was
good.
surprised to hear that he was casting Friends because I'm like, are all your friends actors? Like, that's amazing. I wish all my friends around here were actors, like that went on to do stuff. Oh my God. I guess and Shannon, your thing, like hanging out, Matt Burns and all of them, they're like you're friends with all the actors, so that makes sense. But it just to me it just boggles my mind that he would just be like, oh, come be in this movie, come be in this movie. And it did not I mean, it was very low budget, you know, like
Yes.
very low. They did
Hmm.
not they did not spend a lot of money, and probably for good reason to like, that's how you make money back. You sell the movie or whatnot, or get it
And it feels
re-rated.
like they had probably one camera that was set up and shot, and that's really all they had to work with.
Yeah, I don't even think there was a boom or a, sound equipment or anything.
Mm-mm.
No.
So, I
I,
mean, what
I will say I liked the house.
house was pretty cool, you know. I bet it was just somebody's house that they knew, you know. I mean, I wish I'd
No,
asked all these questions,
that's
like
one of those things. If you sometimes the location dictates the movie. You know, we
Right.
got an empty access to an empty house. Let's make a haunted house movie.
Yeah. But let's not make a haunted house movie that has everything else in it. Zombies and
Yeah.
and slasher and all this stuff because it just gets too much. And I think that was the biggest problem is too many characters and then too much happening, you know. And if they kept it to minimal characters, you know, I hate to say it, get rid of the lesbian girls, even though I like Christina DeRosa and them. They're just they're just they're extra, you
They
know,
don't
things.
add a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and nobody really starts dying till like the last 20 minutes, you know,
I
and
mean,
stuff.
at least they're not like horribly rapacious like in the Evil Cricket from Outer Space movie, where you
Mhm.
have to watch one of them feel the other one up, and they're just it's just like ugh, you feel horrible. Got to take 37 showers after it. But they just didn't really add enough to it. This movie needed more work on it, more writing, more rewriting, you know,
More character development.
more character development, definitely.
And I think, you know, honestly, if he were to remake this movie, I guarantee you, Jeff
Make it better.
would have made it better because I
Yeah.
bet he's learned a lot of what didn't work, what should work, and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I don't want to ever be harsh on a movie, especially one where, you know, I chatted with the guy because I wanted to help him get some promotion out there, but also learned, you know, from whatever mistakes he said he made in it, you know, and things like that or whatnot.
I kind of wish Ryan and Tiffany had survived and everybody else had died. And
Hmm.
in spite of all of their things and in spite of the tropes that they were being forced into, that they end up together and just sort of erase all of that crap. You know what I mean? That would have been an interesting ending, and it would have definitely been something different than any of the teenage movies tend to do.
Well, they had to do. I mean, pretty much they just wrote it for that one dude, really. Like he was
Hmm.
gonna be the star, and he did as great of a job as he could as an actor. Then you know, I didn't mind him. I didn't mind many of the people. I just after a while, yeah, the story and the fact that we had to watch it every 10 minutes, had to watch commercials, just kind of drained on me after a while. I was like, oh, like. I almost kind of quit for a little bit, you know, but I was like,
Yeah, that's
I,
what I was feeling like. I was like, this is never gonna end.
yeah, which is not a good way to go into watching a movie, right? Like, you're like, oh man, I have to review this movie. Um, we've had people like write to us after watching the movie going, yeah, I can't review this. You know, like, and I forgot which one it was, but I remember who it was, and I won't say who. But I remember that one actress said she didn't want to review a movie that we were doing because she couldn't say anything nice about the
Hmm.
movie, and she didn't feel like as an actress that was, you know, like that was going to be good for her,
We
you
had
know.
somebody write back and say they couldn't do Hundreds of Beavers. Hundreds of Beavers was so much fun.
Actually, we had a couple people bailed out of that movie, you know. So, I mean, one of them said they liked it, but
It's
you know,
Looney Tunes on crack. So if you can't deal with that, I can see how it would be kind of crazed.
yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, and but we did find somebody who did like it, so and wanted to do it. So,
Give me something like that, one of those ridiculous movies.
all
This is
right, that'll be Paul. That'll be
Yeah,
Paul pick.
once I finally get a turn, trust me, I'll find you something.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ice Twisters was, I don't know. This was probably a little worse than Ice Twisters, but Ice Twisters was still pretty bad, you know, and
yeah, but
stuff.
Six Wheels to Hell or Three Wheels, which what was that?
Six Wheels to Hell, that was pretty bad. But hey, all consideration, I'd never seen that movie, period, you know, and I had no idea. And
Right.
that's sometimes the fun part.
And again, this it's a different situation when somebody's making their first film and then somebody's making like eight or nine for the asylum. By then,
Agreed.
they should have learned most of their things, you know. The other thing I wanted to mention that annoyed me, and I'm sorry I keep bringing that up, but Ash ends up shooting one of the other characters, and I forget who it was. It wasn't the girlfriend, it was another one who gets possessed, clearly. And they're all saying she's possessed. Shoot her. And it's like, You guys all got possessed. So
Mm-hmm.
you all know that it's not your fault. So you're going to shoot them?
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be possessed in 5 minutes. Just wait it out. This is
Yeah,
supposed to be your friend. And they just, like it was nothing.
that pissed me off too. Because I was angry because I was like, there's no way he's gonna shoot his girlfriend. And then he almost tries to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He pulls the trigger and it just doesn't work. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, just just like punch her or something and like
No.
walk away, like because obviously she is gonna try to attack and try to kill them, because she's possessed, but like
And
the possession doesn't last forever.
right. And well, they established that in the film, which is good. I mean, it lasts for a certain amount of time and then they go back, which is, you would assume the same thing would happen here. But the other thing you pointed out about me not liking when, certain people get killed, the thing is, to me, a character either deserves death or doesn't. If they die and they don't deserve it, that sucks. That's going to destroy any kind of comedy a movie's going to have. You
Mm-hmm.
can't you can't have that in a horror comedy. You can have that in like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer because you're making a grim ass movie to begin with. That works. But if you have people who don't deserve to die getting killed, man, that sucks. And that really bums me out and irritates me. And I hate to see that happen
Mm-hmm.
in a number of movies that are supposed to be funny. That's not funny. It really isn't, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when you write a movie, like a horror film like this, the people that die generally supposed to be the ones like the racist character that everybody hates. That person's mostly like I'll use this example. Just watch Final Destination, the fourth one or whatever, and there was a racist guy saying the N-word, and I was like, I hope he dies. Right? Like, of course he dies. And then you're like, yay, he's dead. And everything. All the rest of the characters, some of them are just rude and nasty, do stupid stuff, and you're like, I don't, and then there's some people you care about, and then you're like, oh no, I kind of sad that she died, but it's, when you're expecting them to die, like you're like stupid teenagers must die, you're expecting most of the teenagers in that movie to die, you know?
Because they were stupid and deserved it. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily what happens here.
No.
Yeah, that was funny because like most of the characters were not stupid at all. Like, and
Uh, they should have left the house first freaking thing.
yeah, well, and should have called everybody and said it's off. Don't come to the, don't come to this thing. I think we've unleashed the,
There's no movie.
yeah, no, true, but and okay, yeah. So to go back to your first question before, who did kill the first guy?
No idea. I think that was a false flag to have us thinking a certain way, and then it pulls the rug out from under us later.
Because when did they do the seance? Because okay, so they did a seance. I think it was the girl who was kind of running the show
Mm-hmm.
and her friend, the leather
Right. So
jacket
they do
guy.
that off camera first.
Right.
Then we see Tiffany and Mike coming in to add whatever crap that they've got. She goes wherever she ends up going, and then he gets killed by somebody who's hiding under a blanket or something. So who
Yep.
the hell is that? Especially if they're being possessed. Who was that, and why did they get possessed? I guess because the seance happened, they could get possessed, but who was that person? It's not
And
Yeah.
Tiffany.
what happened to his body?
That was
It's
put
in
in the
the
closet.
closet.
He was put in the
Yeah,
closet? Okay, I don't
yeah.
remember that. Okay. So, all
They
right.
find him later in the closet.
Oh, well, did he come out of the closet?
Not in that way.
Um, but yeah, okay. I don't remember that, man. I must have like been looking at my phone or something because I was getting bored at times, or something. So,
Because remember, that was the other thing, is that they thought the ghost was following in the footsteps of what he did before and killing people in the same order in the same rooms as when he killed his family,
yeah,
which was not really the case and kind of bogus.
yeah. A lot of it became all of a sudden it's like, oh, free for all. I'm gonna kill you wherever I feel like killing you.
Yeah.
and stuff, which, I mean, that would make more sense anyway. No ghost is going to be like, oh, I'm going to kill everybody in whatever room. I'm going to wait till they're in that room, then I'm going to kill them, you know? Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, I wish that the girl that was doing the seance and stuff, I wish she had lived a lot longer
Yeah,
because I
she had
liked her a
potential
lot.
to be an interesting character.
I liked her a lot because she was kind of snarky, kind of bitchy, but I liked it, like it wasn't annoying or anything. It was kind of like, okay, and I wasn't wanting her to die. There was nobody I really wanted to die in this
She
movie.
actually reminded me a little bit of that one character you had in The Pledge. I forget the actress that you had working it, but she was all gothed out.
Oh, Devaney. Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of reminded me of her character a little bit.
She would have been, that would have been good. Sadly, I don't know if Devaney was working back then. That would have been an interesting. I think she would have been an interesting role in that. But anyway, yeah, you know, it honestly, all in all, it could have been a much better movie had they spent some time on the script and kind of worked some things out. Didn't put so many,
Yeah,
things into it.
first time without anybody sort of giving them some tips and helping them out and helping them get rid of some dead wood and helping them tighten stuff up.
No, I agree. So, any last thoughts? Anything else, Shannon? Do you have anything you want to add?
No, like I said, same thing with Paul. Like I don't want to come down hard on somebody on their very first movie because writing it, producing it, directing it, finishing it, like like all of that, that's
That's
hard to
huge,
do. It's all hard to do.
right?
But they did it, regardless of how like we feel about it. They did it. And like I feel bad because like I don't want to say something bad about somebody's first, like their first movie. I never want to say something bad about somebody's first movie. Now, if this was like the third or the fourth, then yeah, I would
And like,
probably be pretty
yeah,
ruthless right now.
Or if it's a situation where you felt like they just didn't care, that's
Hmm.
another situation. You can usually find that out because they're just being sloppy and you can tell. I don't think that was the case here.
I
no, I
don't
think
either. I think he put a lot of work into this, like what he could for the time and like what with what he had.
I agree, and I think that was the thing. I think this movie had the opportunity to really do to be better, you know, but they just didn't. I feel like they rushed it a little bit too quickly. Even though they might have had the love and all the stuff, like this was their baby, they rushed it. They didn't, they didn't want it, they didn't take the time to just kind of, do whatever. So I think it should have been, it could have been a lot better, but unfortunately,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Most people don't take into consider like pre-production is just as important as the actual filming part and the post-production. And you can write a movie and just say, "Hey, I'm gonna get five of my friends to do this, and we're gonna film next week." You know, anybody
Mhm.
can do that. It's not, I don't recommend it, but
I mean, some people don't even have a script. This actually seemed like it had a script,
yeah,
to it. So, I mean, you can tell when a movie doesn't have a script and when it does have a script, or whatever. And this one felt like they did. I just wish it were funnier. That's my biggest complaint is I wish it were funnier and more exciting, and stuff. So I think it's just not the movie I remember. I always remembered it as a horror comedy. This is not a horror comedy. This is just a horror film that has bits and pieces of comedy in it.
And honestly, the horror is pretty weak too,
yeah,
frankly.
that's what I wanted to see more of. I wanted it to be more serious. I wanted more it to be more scary.
And it's scary.
Yes, more serious, more scary, and yeah, I'd like less characters, and those characters that are in there, make them count for something, you know.
Definitely.
But then that's kind of not what they were trying to do. So I get it. Like what they're trying to do was probably more than they could handle on a first time film. I think on a first time film, you kind of go simple so that you can learn your craft. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Don't try to burden yourself with too much. You know, maybe they should have saved this film for the next film. You know what I mean? And done something a little simpler.
Definitely.
Just a
But
thought.
yeah, well, they didn't. So we got this movie, and you know what? Would I recommend this movie? Sure. If you're, wanting to come see a slasher movie with some other supernatural elements, but if you're expecting it to be, you know, like really, really good or something, you might be unfortunately let down. But it's, I definitely recommend it for indie horror, lovers who wanna watch a movie. So that being said, we're going to go right into our stinkometer score. So, for the stinkometer score, this is for people at home that may not remember what this was. It's a zero. God, I keep saying zero. I don't know why. 1 to 10 scale. One being very, very good, and 10 being very, very stinky. You can also do a point 0.5, like 5.5 or 6.5 if you're kind of in between the two numbers. And then at the end of the year, for like our recap, we will go through and we'll add all them up and see which one lands on the ladder of stink. And even though I think this movie has some problems, we can't see things, we can't hear things, I don't think it's going to be as high up on the ladder of stink as some of the other movies that we've reviewed lately. But Paul, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, well, obviously, again, I've talked about how I try not to go too harsh on a film that's its first time. However, there were a lot of problems that I had with the film. Even some of the basic stuff, the basic story and the basic tropes that are involved with it are not my cup of tea. There were a couple of performances I liked. I really liked Tiffany. I would like to have seen her live. I would like to have seen more of her and more of a couple of other characters. Um, but again, just the basic stuff not being able to come through as far as the sound and not enough lighting and sometimes the cinematography help drag it down along with the writing. So I'm gonna go with an 8.5.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Shannon?
I feel a lot of the same way that you and Paul do. The sound and the lighting was a big thing for me. I mean, that's the first thing you pay attention to when the movie even starts. Like I noticed the graininess in it. Like I noticed all of that. Like as soon as the movie turned on, like when they're on the couch and they're in the dim lit room, and then she even turns on a light in the room, and you still can't really see anything. There was I do like some of the characters. I did like, the geeky guys. I like Tiffany as well. Um, but the other characters I really did not like the two girls, the lesbian girls. I didn't like them at all.
Hmm.
Felt like they didn't bring anything to the story. Um,
They were just fodder to be killed.
Man, I feel like this would have been a so much better movie if Tiffany had been the one that survived. I just do. That would have gone against everything that these tropes usually go for. It
yeah,
would have worked.
definitely. I give it an 8.
An 8. All right. Well, I love you guys, and I would love to do that, but I'm gonna give it a 7. It's I think it does have some stink to it. Some things like you can't see and you can't hear some things, or the sound goes up and down, and there's problems with the story, and it's very confusing at times, which is annoying. All in all, though, I still could enjoy it,
Got
enough
some
where
nostalgia for you too.
it's got some nostalgia for me, so like I could enjoy it, but it's not the worst movie we've ever seen. It's
Oh
also
hell no,
not,
this is definitely not a 10. It's not even a 9. We've seen a lot worse films, especially first
yeah.
films.
But yeah, and once again, it's also somebody's first film, and I always fight with Paul because Paul will like, he doesn't have the same feelings I do when about making movies, and how a lot of them do inspire me to want to go out and make movies, because Peter Rottentail, all he can think of is the boing 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 in that
Oh,
movie.
so
But
annoying.
I actually look at that movie and I go, this movie is so do it yourself that it makes me want to go out and make a movie. Sadly, this movie didn't do that for me. It also has that one trope that I usually really, really hate, which I forgot to bring up earlier, which is just one location. I don't like movies that are set in one
Mm.
location. They drive me nuts, especially when there's a whole big world out there and you're like, why are we stuck in this fucking
And it
house?
feels very artificial because
Because that's no budget.
even the one time when they actually try the door and it's locked, and the first thing I think of, well, go through the windows because it's just glass and you can break them all out. But no, nobody even does that.
Well, they can't do that on no budget because they can't break.
Right, right.
But
They can't do it, but the characters should, or at
right.
least try, or at least mention it.
And then the dude leaves and then he comes back.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
I didn't understand.
Like
yeah.
I thought he was gonna get like possessed or something when he was in the car, or something was gonna stop him from going
Hmm.
like the car wouldn't start. That would have made more sense. But him
Mm.
leaving and then coming back, and that was just
And
to throw us off. And
and maybe I am a little harsher. It's just that I have seen first films too that are also really, really good that people have spent more time polishing and worked on it and everything. So I definitely see the potential for all of these folks to do bigger and better things. So it's not like these guys are a complete waste. And I mean, when I really dislike a film, I let them have it. I was able to find a few things that I thought were positive, but on the whole, I mean, I gotta call what I see. You know what I
oh
mean?
no, definitely be completely. We always say to be 100% honest with your feelings. We don't try
And
to hide
other
anything.
people might enjoy it more than I do. I especially, a movie like this, that Scream type of film, is already fighting an uphill battle against me because
Right.
I don't like Scream. I don't like that type of self-referential meta stuff that just it's way too clever for its own good and it annoys the hell out of me. I just don't like it.
All right. So, and that got a 23.5 on the ladder stink. Not super duper bad, but not the best either. That matches up with Sharkenstein, so another Polonia movie. Uh Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and Attack of the Beast Creatures all got 23.5 as
Oh, the bitey
well.
puppets.
Yeah. Was there anything else in season 7? Because we haven't gotten it.
You
We
ever
haven't
seen
even
that one? It's a bunch of puppets that run around and bite you.
No, that sounds terrifying.
Well, it's
It's
not
funny.
actually supposed to be puppets, but yeah, they look like puppets that go around biting people, but they're not supposed to look like it. Let me see if there's anyone else, any of the other ones here. Um, oh, The Brain That Wouldn't Die had gone in 23, but not 23 and a half. So, um, yeah, no other one for 23 and a half on season 7, season 8, I guess. No. So those are the ones that are up there right now with it. So that's unless Mummy Theme Park got that, which I don't think it did. I just haven't
Uh,
added that on there. I think that
Mummy
was
Theme
worse.
Park, I think, was worse.
I know, you know. And then we've seen some bad movies recently, so and this one could have been that way, but I think it was,
I
it
mean, based on the Japanese film we just reviewed, it's got the same score for me. The production was much, 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 much better than this film. On the other hand, that film was so ridiculous and silly and goofy and dumb. That this movie wasn't that.
right. Now this movie was, I don't know, a little bit more uh this movie should have been more that. Should
Yeah.
have been more goofy and dumb and everything. But I think they tried. I think that's the conflict that a lot of independent filmmakers make, where they want to do something goofy and dumb, but they're afraid if they do something goofy and dumb that they're not going to be taken seriously as directors, and they're not going to be able to make another movie like
Well, the thing
whatever.
is, if you're going to go in the direction of a comedy, you better have a sharp, sharp script that's well thought out, or you better have something that lends itself really, really well to physical comedy, like really good special effects, or somebody who can do pratfalls, or something else that makes it visually work. And these guys just don't have that. They
What
have a
about
tiny, tiny
Chris?
budget.
What about Chris Seaver? He makes movies like that, but like he doesn't have a sharp wit. He just,
He's
toilet
not
humor.
making horror movies, horror comedies. He's making comedies.
Yeah. All right. So making just cartoons,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and this could have been that way. This could have been a cartoon, but unfortunately, they didn't even go that route. They made it try to make it
And the other
look
thing
more
about Chris
serious.
Seaver, his the saving grace with him, in addition to comic timing, which is hard to get unless you know what you're doing, is I like his dialogue. He always has interesting dialogue.
Yeah. He's made some stuff. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Shannon, but he's made stuff like Sex Squatch, and he's made movies like Ski Wolf and
Terror
really
of Blood Fart Lake.
Terror Blood Fart Lake.
No, then I'm
He's great though. He's made just goofy shit, and
Yeah, his characters aren't like anybody else, and he writes them well, and they are consistent from film to film.
yeah. And so and he uses a lot of the same actors and or characters, for his films.
So
So
in his way, he's world building, which is kind of cool. I dig that.
yeah, I don't see there being like a world building here at all, and that I
No.
mean some movies aren't world building, they don't try to do that,
Like the whole Murder McGee thing, you get the feeling that that's so contrived. It's like, okay, it's an M because murder. You know what I mean? It just,
Mm,
yeah, no,
Murder McGee. That was one of the worst names I've ever heard for a killer.
yeah.
Like and
I don't know. That's right up there with Mother Trucker.
oh yeah, Mother Trucker from the Six Wheels of Hell or whatever, Six Wheels from Hell. Terrible movie. But at least Mother Trucker had some like little one-liners and shit, and stuff, and he seemed more like a stupid character. But
This
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 movie,
needed more polishing, and I think if it had gone through a couple of rewrites, a couple more editing, I think it would have been a much better film.
I think so too.
I think the
And maybe,
bones are there. It's just they didn't quite get to it.
well, he learned his lesson. Maybe Machete Betty is better, but given the
We'll have to
fact
see.
that
I'd be willing to check it out.
if you can find it on
Watching.
your Russian sketchy porn site, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Because
I
I
mean,
can't find it anywhere.
that's something. You know me. If I really dislike someone, I'm like, that's it. I'm not going near that guy ever again. I don't feel like that at all in this case.
Yeah, I think the guy probably Jeff learned, and he seemed like a really decent, nice guy when I interviewed him. So I'm, I don't want to bash. That's probably another reason why I give it a lower score because I just feel like it didn't, the dude seemed like he legit wanted to make a good horror film, and it's hard. It's hard. He went out and he made a film. He finished it, and that's wonderful.
And you put it out in the public domain, so grow that thick skin because people are gonna judge you by it. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
that's the way it is.
it's got some nasty reviews on IMDb, sadly, which I mean, does it deserve that? Not really, in my opinion, but some people are very strict, I mean, very serious about their horror films, and if they don't like
Yep.
it, they're gonna rip you apart and everything and stuff. So, speaking of which, Shannon, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, Sibylla is in post-production, so that's a good
Nice,
thing. We're still looking at a October premiere.
sweet.
We start shooting Black Sheep next month.
Ooh.
Mm.
Super excited for that one.
Please tell me there's a sheep in it.
No, because they already made a Black Sheep movie with a sheep.
No,
They
I want a
did.
little sheep in there.
No, I know. You would have liked it was Black Cow, you know. Anyway,
Black and white cow.
yes. So anyway, what is that it that you've been working on or
No, and then Josh Wynn is doing a horror film called Not There. Directing that one, and we start shooting that in November in Michigan.
nice.
And this
Nice.
is all up in Maryland, right?
We're shooting that one in Michigan.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Hmm.
Why there? Just for the background, or you got a place to shoot there,
We
or
have a place to shoot there. We have specific locations.
is it on the UP, the Upper Peninsula?
I don't know. It's Hart, Michigan.
Okay, I'm not sure where that is
And I
because
have never heard, yeah, well, I've never been to Michigan,
the
so
the
I've
U
never,
the UP is very interesting. It's an interesting place. There's a lot of fun scenery. It's right on the lakes, and they have a lot of interesting places. That's why I was bringing that up because it doesn't really look like the rest of Michigan.
I'll have to look it up and see exactly where it's at. But yeah, I'm excited because I've never been to Michigan. So
Well, Sam Raimi's from Michigan and
Yep.
stuff, Detroit area, and then he shot Evil Dead in Tennessee, I believe. Didn't even shoot it in Michigan.
Hmm.
He shot it outside Tennessee.
Chigger
So
County.
yeah, it was I forgot exactly where, but it was in a cabin that they found and everything. And so but I love Michigan. A lot of my a bunch of my friends are from there, and DJ Perry, is from Michigan. So there's a lot of that out there, and a lot of great filmmakers and stuff. So
I've been up to Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's decent.
yeah, I've never been to Michigan, man. Maybe one day I'll go. I'll have to check it out. At least I have to go to Detroit just to see, what Detroit. I've heard a
Well,
lot of crime
the
back there.
UP, which by the way our buddy Joe Lynn is from, they have those special weird glow in the dark rocks that you find on the beach. They call them UP stones. I've always wanted to get some of those.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Yeah, they're
cool.
pretty cool.
So if you're around there, maybe you'll find those rocks. Who knows? You know. But
would
thank
be
you,
cool.
thank you, Shannon. You were wonderful on here as always, and you're now Paul needs to get you back so we
My
can get
turn.
you. Yeah, it's supposed to be his turn, but things got switched up, and he
I
got to
got
do
passed over, man.
that one, and then now he'll find you one.
We should have gotten Shannon for Hundreds of Beavers. I think Shannon would have loved it.
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah,
You
tell us
should.
how
It's
you
on
feel.
Tubi. You'll love it. It won a whole bunch of awards. It is hysterical.
The only problem I have with the movie is it's too long. They should have cut at least 30 minutes out of the movie, but that's my opinion, and everything else.
Watch it and let me know what you think. I'm dying to hear it.
I will. I definitely will.
Are you guys friends on Facebook? I don't think you guys are.
I think so.
I think so. That
Okay.
that one and Greasy Strangler are the two I always recommend for folks. If you like Greasy Strangler, you'll like Hundreds of Beavers.
See, Greasy Strangler's nothing that I would watch on my own without somebody saying, "Hey, you should check this out."
It's funny though. It's bizarre, weird, and funny. I love it.
But we did it for What the F Fridays because it is a What the F Friday. Like it is a weird, weird movie. And then we got to interview the guy.
Right?
And my only regret with that interview was that we should have done it at another time when it
Mm.
wasn't during him doing this stuff because we had a lady in our ear saying, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough. You guys can
Michael
be,
Rappaport.
yeah, like telling us to wrap it up, wrap it up a pour,
Yeah.
send it up
We
and send
wish
them
we had
off."
had more time, but who knows? Well, maybe we'll see him again. I hope so. But you should definitely check that one out too.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. It's a great movie, and he was super cool. So, really like that. And those guys do the two guys from Greasy Strangler go to Harkovich's all the time together and stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a cult movie, you know. It's definitely that. But yeah, we always recommend that. There's a few that Paul picks that are just like, oh my God, what the hell did I just watch? You know? And so, but yeah, thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Paul. Everybody for listening. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And I still say go see this movie if you want. I'd
Sure.
recommend buying it on DVD instead of watching it through Fossum. You might get
Yeah,
nuts.
we'll put the link on our reviews page so that people can go and find it and buy it, and they
When
can
we get to that.
judge for themselves.
Yeah.
When we get all the way up to season 8.
It might have been a little less, I mean, it might have been more enjoyable if we actually could watch it. I mean, the movie was only on for like 10 minutes and then boom, 8 commercials. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and you never know. Maybe there's a Blu-ray out there sometime somewhere where they go in and they clean up some of the visuals and clean up some of the sound and maybe do a little extra editing and maybe throw in some stuff we're not seeing. A cleaner, nicer, more brighter version with better sound probably is a much better experience.
Yeah, I agree.
And Fossum only had to be like it was an hour. How long was yours, Paul? Because ours was an hour and 15
I was
minutes.
about to say about an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, because that's what they have, but on IMDb it's listed as an hour and 20 minutes. So
Interesting.
I'm wondering if there was something cut, and I wonder if any of that was any of the backstory shit that we wanted,
Right, right, right.
that got cut,
Well, maybe there's a director's cut out there. You should talk to the director again.
I don't even know where he is. He's not like we were. I don't think we were friends. We were friends on MySpace, through his stupid teenage must die MySpace page. That's how long ago this was,
Yeah, I saw all the information. It says you can find more information on MySpace.
Oh, dear.
Ah,
It's probably still there.
I might be. I don't know. I think some of my stuff's still there too, from MySpace. I don't know. I haven't checked MySpace in so long because I have no reason to. Um, but yeah, so I have not
You got
spoken to this
50
guy
million
for
people trying to add you as a friend, man. They're waiting.
they're waiting. They're gonna be waiting for a long time, you know, and stuff. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I have no idea where he is. I don't there are too many Jeff C. Smiths out there, and I don't know. Like I've got
Right.
if he has a stupid teenagers must die Instagram page or something, that would help. But I
Well, plus it sounds like he's moved on and done other things. So he's
yeah.
probably, sees himself as more of a documentarian now.
That's what it seems like, and that's good. Like, if you find what you're really good at, and you said his editing was great, that's usually great for documentaries.
Yep.
So maybe he's
Yep.
gone off to do that. Who knows? Oh, I'll tell you something after this, Paul, that I want to bring up to you because I think you're gonna love this. But thank you guys all for checking this out. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll be back. I think next one is another one of mine. So until then, everybody, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.